take baseball podcast example by Jason Chase. So in this makeshift podcast, I want to be answering a couple questions. One, I'm gonna say my first one now. Who are the World Series favorites? Because the MLB opening day would be today, but that didn't happen thanks to COVID-19. So here we are speculating about who would be the best team in baseball. So, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions, it's for sure down to two teams: the LA Dodgers and the New York Yankees. Maybe the Twins can rival the Yankees. Maybe the Astros turn out being really good. And they. No, I don't really see that, to be honest. The Dodgers, maybe the Braves can rival them. Maybe if, Fulton steps up, Soroka repeats, and what's their third starter's name? And Hamels can throw just like a sub 3.5 ERA with 200 innings pitched. But those are so many ifs. I don't think that the Braves will be much of a competition for the Dodgers for that NL pennant spot. So, what's the best way to compare two teams? Literally just compare the players. So we're gonna look at catchers first. I have their depth charts up right now. So let's take a look at catchers. In my opinion, for sure, New York Yankees. Maybe, Will Smith is a rookie. Maybe he goes out there and he hits 280 with 25 home runs. But I don't see him hitting more than 20, 30 home runs. Especially now, how much catchers are being, shortened. That doesn't make sense. How much less catchers are playing, and especially him being a rookie. I don't think they're going to let him catch 140 games, 130 games. I think he's only going to catch, 110, 120 max. And they're going to let their backup catcher, Austin Barnes, do his thing. While the Yankees have a slugger at catcher, Gary Sanchez, he needs to improve his defense, but he has a cannon for an arm, and he hits nukes. At first base, I got to give it to the Dodgers. They have Max Muncy versus Luke Voit. Luke Voit had a breakout season last year. However, Max Muncy just went off, hitting, I think, around 260 with 35 home runs, if I'm not wrong. Something like that. Second base, for sure, giving it to the Yankees. Yankees have DJ LeMahieu, who had another breakout season last year. He was insane. Hitting, I think, 330 with, I can't even remember the amount of home runs. But the Dodgers have their rookie second baseman, Gavin Lux, the number 2 prospect in all of baseball. It's going to be really hard to project how well he does. I mean, he has all the tools in the world. It's going to be, can he adjust to major league pitching? Can he adjust to the atmosphere of Dodger Stadium, having sellout crowds every night? That's a lot of pressure on a young player like Gavin Lux. Then shortstop, for sure, New York Yankees. Gleyber Torres is much better than Corey Seager. Seager had a great rookie season in 2016, batting .320 with, I think, 20 home runs or close to that. I think it was more like 16. I don't know for sure, though. Other than that, he's kind of fallen off, though. I mean, he still bats around 280, which is very solid. But how can you compare that to a guy like Gleyber Torres, who's going to hit you .320 with 30 home runs? And that's not even his ceiling. His ceiling is so high. The sky's the limit for Gleyber Torres. Third base, I'm honestly going to have to call it a tie between Gio Urshela and Justin Turner. Justin Turner has better offense, in my opinion, than Gio Urshela. Gio Urshela, another guy who had a breakout season last year for the Yankees. He's always played a good defense, and he's still playing great defense. And he bat, .320 with 20 home runs last year. That's very solid. But Justin Turner has always been that guy, that staple in the Dodger lineup. In my opinion, Turner still has better offense. Just the better resume, more consistency than Gio Urshela. Maybe if Gio repeats what he does in 2020 over however many games we play, maybe he can show me that Gio is better than Turner, but I'm going to have to call it a tie. Left field, the depth chart says that they're going to have a platoon with A.J. Pollock and Jock Peterson. Peterson crushes righties. And I don't know how well Pollock does off lefties. I would assume he's decent. I mean, he should have normal splits theoretically, and they signed him to that 3-year, $60 million contract or whatever it was. He's a very solid player for them, and Jock Peterson should mash righties. However, I'm gonna have to give it to the Yankees. They have Giancarlo Stanton, who signed that crazy deal with the Marlins, over $300 million, and his power is off the charts. He has such a good arm. If he can repeat what he did 2017, I believe it was, it was 2017, hitting 259, 60 dingers. I know he hit 59, but I'm saying 60. I think. Don't quote me on that. But if he can repeat what he did, that's just huge. And especially in the Yankees lineup, he's gonna have, if he hits 60 home runs, he's gonna have 130, 140 RBIs. Center field, for sure the Dodgers. The Yankees depth chart has Brett Gardner playing center field, but that's only because Aaron Hicks went down to, I don't know if it was Tommy John surgery, but I know he has some kind of injury on his arm. But the Dodgers literally have the MVP, the NL MVP, Cody Bellinger, playing center field for them. Right field, very tough. Mookie Betts for the Dodgers versus Aaron Judge. In my opinion, if I had to take one of these two guys, I'm going to have to go with Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is a guy who's going to steal you 30, 40 bases. He's going to hit 20, 30 home runs, and he's going to bat, if he has a good season, he's going to bat around 320. And he's going to play great defense. He has an above-average arm, and he plays Gold Glove defense out there. I mean, he's a true five-tool player. Aaron Judge, if he has a good season, he's going to hit probably around 270 with 50, 60 home runs. He's going to have a lot of RBIs again because he's in that potent Yankee lineup. But in my opinion, Betts is just better because he's truly five-tool players. He is so complete as a player. I mean, you can say what you want about the Red Sox cheating as well, but in my opinion, I got to give it to Mookie Betts. Now their rotation, if we rewinded 6 months, it would be the Yankees, no doubt. The Yankees rotation would have Garrett Cole, Luis Severino, James Paxton, Masahiro Tanaka, and J.A. Happ, or maybe that one rookie, Garcia. That's a very good 1 through 5. However, the Yankees didn't have much depth. Behind those 5 guys, it's a bunch of question marks. Their depth chart has Jordan Montgomery, and then 4 guys fighting for the 5th spot, who are Loisaga, I don't know how to say his name, King, Garcia, and then actually Paxton is going to be out for a little bit, so just 3 guys actually. And that was supposed to be decided in spring training, but spring training was cut short, yada, yada, yada. Here we are. We don't know who the Yankees 5-starter is. However, the Dodgers have a very good rotation. They could already compete with the Yankees pitching staff before, but now they no doubt beat them. They got Walker Buehler as their ace. It says Kershaw, but I'm saying Walker Buehler. Buehler, Kershaw, David Price, Julio Urias. I was about to say Arias, but I know it's Urias, I think. And then Alex Wood. That's a very good 1 through 5. Especially that 1-2 punch at the top of Buehler to Kershaw. That's very, very solid. Buehler, in my opinion, he's kind of a sleeper for the Cy Young for me. I think he's a very good pitcher. He has electric stuff. He throws super hard. Kind of reminds me of Garrett Cole, you know. Maybe give Buehler a couple more years, and maybe we'll be talking about Buehler more than Cole. But right now, Cole is the second best pitcher in baseball, and Buehler might not even be in the top 10 for most people. Looking at their bullpens, no doubt, giving it to the Yankees. Now, I'm noticing this is a theme throughout the entire Dodger roster. High upside players. They have Kenley Jansen as their closer. Now, he had a very shaky season last year. However, if he can bounce back and he can have an ERA below 3, like what he normally does, maybe even below 2, that that already makes the Dodger bullpen so much better. If Joe Kelly can go out there and he can have an ERA below 3, very good. If Blake Trinan can go out there and have an ERA sub 1 like he did in 2018, that's insane. That's an insane three-headed monster. We got Pedro Baez. He's been pretty solid, and maybe Gratterall can go out there and he can do his thing. He has all the stuff in the world, but you have to remember how young he is. If he can really use his stuff to compete against big league hitters, he can be very good. They got a very solid prospect. I just realized Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin are two guys who came up through the big leagues last year for the Dodgers, and both pitched very well for them. And they also have Jamie Nelson as well. I'm looking at their rotation. The depth chart has both of those guys in their rotation. I mean, in the bullpen rather, but they could easily slot in that rotation. Let's say Price goes down with an injury, and let's say Wood isn't doing well. You can slot Dustin May and Gonsolin in there, and those are both two guys who are going to have ERAs below 4. Dustin May, in my opinion, is the guy who can have an ERA below 3.5 and go out and throw 170 innings. That's a lot of depth for the Dodgers to have, and that's a good problem to have. In my opinion, that 5 spot should be between Alex Wood, Dustin May, and Gonsolin. And I think if I had to pick, Dustin May should be the 5 starter. The Yankees, they lost two big players to injuries. Luis Severino and James Paxton. Both went down to injuries, and it really hurts them. Severino, in my opinion, could have been the Yankees' ace, even above Garrett Cole. He's their homegrown guy who goes out there. He has great stuff. If he's healthy, I think he has an ERA below 2. Legitimately. If he can go out there and get his stuff on, he can have an ERA below 2. But now the Yankees failed to acquire some depth throughout the offseason, and it's really come back to bite them. They have their projection is Garrett Cole, Tanaka, Happ, Montgomery, and I'm not going to try to say his name. That's not very good. It was good before, but now it's just, James Paxton should be coming back maybe a third or halfway through the season. That will certainly help them. But unless that one rookie, Garcia, really can step up, which I wouldn't be surprised. But if he can step up, the Yankees bullpen rotation rather, maybe it can be good again. And it should also be noted that the Dodgers have Chris Taylor on their bench, and the Yankees have Miguel Andujar on their bench, as well as maybe Clint Frazier. And yeah. Now I want to talk about what the heck the Colorado Rockies should do. The Rockies last year did very badly. They performed very poorly despite having some very good players, such as the likes of Charlie Blackmon, Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, Daniel Murphy, who did decently but could have been better. David Dahl was good before he got injured. And their pitching staff kind of fell apart, but they do have some very talented pitchers. They have John Gray, Kyle Freeland, Herman Marquez. All of those guys would be good if they didn't pitch at Coors Field. Pretty much no pitcher can pitch well at Coors Field. The ball flies, the air is thin, it's harder to breathe. It's just a nightmare for pitchers. Somehow Kyle Freeland was able to end up placing 4th or 5th in Cy Young in 2018, which was absolutely insane. He ended up doing very well, having an ERA below 4. No, I think it was even below 3. It was like a 2.8, I believe, if I remember it correctly. He did very well. I don't think they can get a repeat out of that for if Kyle Freeland is at Coors Field. Maybe if you pitch in another ballpark, a pitcher friendly ballpark, I don't know, like Marlins Park. I don't know why the Marlins would acquire Freeland, but but if they did for some reason, I think he would do quite well. But if I'm the GM of the Colorado Rockies, I'm rebuilding. I'm selling everybody off. If they sell all their pieces and they play their cards right, I think their rebuild will only last 1 to 2 years. Everyone's talking about Nolan Arenado being the biggest trade chip in the on the Rockies, but I'm looking at Trevor Story. Kid's a stud. Complete package player. He can hit for average, he can hit for power, he can steal you bases, and he plays a phenomenal defense, and he has quite a good arm. In my opinion, a more complete player than Arenado, since Trevor Story will steal a lot more bases. I don't know how many years of team control Trevor Story has off the top of my head, but if he had, I think he's got to have at least 3 more years. They could get a king's ransom worth of prospects for Trevor Story. Take a look at what the Red Sox got for Chris Sale. The Red Sox traded away for Sale rather, and double that. That's how good I think the return could be for Trevor Story. Now, if they were, I don't know a whole lot of teams in baseball that would bite at a Trevor Story deal just because the price tag would be so high. In my opinion, 4 top prospects, maybe 5. The kid is a stud, and he's under team control for quite a bit longer. Though, off the top of my head, I know the Red Sox traded away Michael Kopech and Yoan Moncada, their third baseman, and a stud starting pitcher. I think Moncada is going to be the next Noah Syndergaard. I remember he threw like 110 in the running gun, I believe, or something like that, or 115, I forget. But I think he can be super good. The Rockies just need to play their cards right. Maybe in a Trevor Story deal, I think it would have to be a 3-team trade, and the other team would have to give up some major league players to another team to acquire some prospects to give to the Rockies for Story. But I think a deal could get done, and also getting rid of Nolan Arenado for prospects, they could get some good prospects back for him. Even though he has that huge contract now, I think it was like over $280 million or something like that. It's a very big contract. It's going to be difficult to move, but you could still get a few top prospects back, even if you have to eat a bit of salary. Because I would also be getting rid of Charlie Blackmon in his salary, Daniel Murphy in his salary, and David Dahl. I don't think he's even arbitration eligible yet. But also getting rid of the pitching staff. In my opinion, other GMs should value the Rockies pitching staff quite highly because they've had some decent success at some point in their career for the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field. And in my opinion, that's quite valuable to bring them down to normal playing conditions at maybe a pitcher's ballpark. I think they could get some really good prospects back. And as I said before, if they play their cards right, the rebuild could only last a year, maybe 2. And right now, I honestly think a rebuild Rockies team can have a better record. A rebuilding Rockies team can have a better record than the 2019 record. Yeah, hot take. The Rockies were terrible last year. And also, they need to, tag on some of their bullpen arms with like David Dahl or Kyle Freeland or Herman Marquez to kind of get rid of that salary. So when they're ready to contend, they can go out and get that big free agent. I look at what the Chicago White Sox did. They got Yasmani Grandal because they didn't have a very good catcher. They had James McCann and Wellington Castillo, I believe, but none of those guys were really on the same level that Yasmani Grandal is. And the only reason why they were able to get those arms is because they freed up all that salary when they were rebuilding. And that allowed him to make some big splashes in free agency. They also got Dallas Keuchel. If I'm the Rockies, they would need to focus on getting position players back. They have to realize that they will never have good pitching. Maybe they can have a good bullpen, but that's going to take some of the top arms in the league. And especially for being a rookie at Coors Field, that's so nerve-wracking. Because in the minor leagues, you hear about Coors Field. You hear about how terrible it is to pitch. You hear about how the ball flies. That's such a confidence killer for a young pitcher trying to make his major league debut or his first MLB season. That's just unbelievably hard. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening.